Before starting this video, I do want to give a thank you to my patrons that support the channel. And if you would like to support the channel, there are some great benefits for you in the link down below. So with that, let's get into today's video. Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Devin coming back at you with another video today on PubStomp MTG. So with this video, I'm going to go over Lord of the Nazgul. I did go over the Witch King of Angmar in another video. If you do want to go check that out, I'll post the link above here. But I think this is the better version of him in my opinion, mainly because you add an extra color with blue. So first off, I do want to talk about the card and what it does. It does have flying. Wraiths you control have protection from ring bearers. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you create a 3/3 Black Wraith creature token with Menace. Then if you would control 9 or more Wraiths, Wraiths you control have base power and toughness 9/9 until end of turn. So again, like I mentioned previously, I like this one a little better, mainly because there's the win con stapled onto the commander. Making all your Wraiths be 9/9s is absolutely crazy, especially for Dimir colors when you think about it. Plus, if a lot of your Wraiths do have flying, they're going to have 9 power and 9 toughness on the battlefield swinging in the air. To put it in perspective, if you do have 9 Wraiths on the battlefield and you trigger this ability, all your ring wraiths will become 9/9s, and if they do have flying in the air, that'll be a GG probably for an opponent because you're going to be swinging in with 90 damage. So first of all, I do want to discuss some of the box toppers that are coming out in the new Lord of the Rings set. With all the chase cards coming out with the One Ring and all the other soul rings, these are going to be absolutely cheap. So wraiths also have pretty deadly weapons like the Morgul knife, and in this case, it is Shadow Spear. So equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample and lifelink. So what I do like about this is the life gain, especially if we do have a 9/9 creature that we equip this with. We're going to be gaining 9 life off of that. Plus, giving trample is no joke either. On top of that, you can pay 1 and permanents your opponent's control lose hexproof and indestructible. This is an absolute great equipment. I will say I was also pleasantly surprised to see Cabal Coffers and Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth reprinted in Minas Morgul and the Dead Marshes. There's a pretty popular synergy between these two cards. With Minas Morgul or Cabal Coffers, you pay 2 and tap it. Add 1 black mana for each swamp you control. So with Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth on the battlefield, each land is a swamp in addition to its other land types. So of course, with all your lands being swamps, you could tap Minas Morgul for a lot of mana to have a big mana acceleration for your turn. So with the Lord of the Rings themed box toppers out of the way, I also do want to talk about thematic choices in the deck. This is going to be very similar to the other deck tech I made for the Witch King. So for the first card I do want to mention is actually going to be 9 of them in your deck with the Nazgul. So this does have Death Touch, and when the Nazgul enter the battlefield, the ring tempts you. Whenever the ring tempts you, you put a 1/1 counter on each Wraith you control, and a deck can have up to 9 cards named the Nazgul. So a couple months ago, I did make a prediction video of certain cards having certain types. I did predict the Nazgul will have up to 9 cards you could play in a deck, and I was correct. If you want to go check that video out and see how well I did, the link will be posted above here. Other than that, the Nazgul will be pretty potent in the deck, especially when they do enter the battlefield. Say we have a big army of Nazgul, and then after that we play an instant or sorcery with our commander on the battlefield. We could pump up our team to a 9/9, and they will still retain the counters because that's separate from their original power and toughness. So each Wraith you control will probably have more power and toughness than just 9/9. I did also want to suggest another card with the Ring Wraith. So for 6 mana, when it enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls gets -3/-3 until end of turn. If that creature is legendary, its controller loses 3 life. When the ring tempts you, return a Ring Wraith from your graveyard to your hand. So this card is pretty fitting because you can never really kill a Ring Wraith. They'll just come back from the graveyard to your hand. Very fitting overall, and plus it counts for removal. However, in my opinion, I do feel like this effect is a little steep for the mana cost of being 6. We are playing Wraith Tribal though, so this is a good option if you want to put it in the deck. So with that said, I do want to bring your attention to this next card with Ring Sight. Of course, the Ring Wraiths are searching for the One Ring, so the ring tempts you. Search your library for a card that shares a color with a legendary creature you control, reveal it, then put it into your hand, then shuffle. Again, I love the flavor of this. Frodo put on the One Ring and he saw the Ring Wraiths for their true forms. Also on top of that, tutors are great for redundancy in your deck. I did want to continue the thematic choices. I thought to add Decree of Pain, mainly because it has such breathtaking art. I want to say that's the Witch King taking down Theoden right there. Plus, to be honest, this is a great versatile card. Destroy all creatures, they can't be regenerated. Draw cards for each creature destroyed this way, so it can refill your hand just for 8 mana. I know that seems like a little steep, but it's pretty great, trust me. And you can cycle this for 5 mana. When you do cycle it, creatures get -2/2 until end of turn. So you get to draw a card and you can do that at instant speed, so that's a great fit. So with the next card I do want to talk about, it has been getting a lot of hype with the Mirkwood Bats. So for 4 mana, it is a common, but don't be fooled, that is a pretty powerful common if I've ever seen one. It has flying. Whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life. So think about it this way, if you're putting down a treasure, that's 1 life for your opponents. If you sacrifice that treasure, that's 2 life for your opponents. This card is going to make people lose so much life, especially in our deck when we're making so much ring wraiths, when we're casting instant and sorceries, so 100% an auto include. So with the next card, of course I wanted to add in the Witch King of Angmar. So we do have a no mercy effect staple to the Witch King of Angmar. I'm not going to discuss too much about him. You could go check out the video above so that you can see a full deck tech on him, but he is pretty fantastic, not gonna lie. Though I will mention he is a wraith and he does have flying, so when our commander triggers he will be a 9/9, and if somebody tries to remove the Witch King, we can discard a card to make him indestructible. He will be tapped, but if we're swinging in with him, it's going to be great value anyways. And with the last card in this section, I do want to talk about Sauron the Necromancer, mainly because he is the one who made the ring wraiths who they are today. So he is 5 mana, he does have menace. Whenever Sauron the Necromancer attacks, exile target creature from your graveyard. You create a tapped and attacking token. That's a copy of that card, except it's a 3/3 black wraith with menace. At the beginning of your next end step, exile the token unless Sauron is your ring bearer. So this is a pretty great effect, mainly because the wraiths that come in are 3/3s and have menace. They have that evasion, and if we do cast an instant or sorcery, they will become 9/9s with our commander. So with that said, there's not too much wraiths after those cards to suggest, because there's not too much wraiths in EDH in general, so I did want to include some changelings, mainly some that are pretty great. Changeling Outcast is absolutely incredible, mainly because it can't block and can't be blocked. So when we do swing away with Changeling Outcast and we have our commander out, we could play an instant speed spell so that when it attacks, it'll become a 9/9 and can't be blocked. I did also want to bring your attention to Black Market Connections because of the versatility. You could ramp with treasure tokens, you could get some card draw, or you can make a 3/2 colorless shapeshifter creature token with Changeling. So I do mainly like this, the fact that we can make a Changeling on the battlefield, but on top of that you're getting some card draw and treasures. What's not to like about this card? It's an absolute staple in many decks. Another card I do want to bring your attention to is Maskwood Nexus, mainly because creatures you control are every creature type, including Sauron, including the Mirkwood Bats, you name it. Also, you could pay 3 mana and tap it. You create a 2/2 blue shapeshifter token on the battlefield with Changeling. So every card in your deck are going to be wraiths, and on top of that, it'll make more wraiths when it's on the battlefield. This is an absolute win in the deck. So next up, I do want to discuss some cards you may want to consider playing when you're playing instant and sorcery spells. You do want to take advantage of cheap spells, mainly because you want to put as much wraiths on the battlefield. So I thought of some cantrips like Brainstorm, Consider, and Opt. I like these mainly because they do replace themselves, and you can get card selection throughout the process. So in the deck, you definitely want to have a good mix of wraiths and on top of that cantrips, so that you can put as much wraiths on the battlefield, so you could overwhelm your opponents with 9/9 wraith creature tokens on the battlefield. And when you are playing those cantrips, you may want to consider cards like the Watcher in the Water. So I do like the ability, whenever you draw a card during an opponent's turn, you create a 1/1 blue tentacle creature token, and whenever a tentacle creature you control dies, untap up to 1 target Kraken like the Watcher in the Water and put a stun counter up to 1 target non-land permanent. So I do know this doesn't directly deal with wraiths, but I do feel like it's a great include for a control piece. Since we are playing a lot of instant and sorcery spells, I did think of adding Shark Typhoon and Chrome Host Seed Shark. So whenever you do cast a non-creature spell, you'll be making a lot of tokens, whether they're Shark tokens or when they're Incubate tokens. With those cards, you could definitely take advantage of a full board and go swing out for a large army. Since you are playing a lot of instant and sorcery spells, you may want to consider adding in Octavia, mainly because the spell costs 8 less to cast. If you have 8 or more instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard, that's going to be plenty easy, mainly because we're going to be casting them all the time, especially with our commander on the battlefield. And when you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, target creature has base and power toughness of 8/8 until end of turn. So if our commander is not on the battlefield, that's completely okay. Octavia will take care of it. Instead of being 9/9, some of our creatures will become 8/8s. And on top of that, Ward 8 is absolutely crazy with Octavia, so you may want to consider this as well. With that said, that's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and watching this video on the Lord of the Nazgul. This is going to be incredibly powerful. This commander feels very Dimir-like when you're casting instant and sorcery spells, But on top of that, it doesn't feel Dimir-like when you're making tokens on the battlefield and buffing them up when you play instant and sorcery spells, so I do think this is going to be a pretty potent commander on the battlefield if you choose to build it. So let me know down below, what do you think of the Lord of the Nazgul? Do you think this is better than the Witch King of Angmar? Let me know down below in the comments. Again, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and with that out of the way, thank you for stopping by.